Hi there. Welcome. Steve Arterburn here for all of us at New Life and just me and my family right here for you during this amazing coronavirus crisis time. I will leave here and go home and I will cook dinner for my family. And they love my cooking. Maybe you don't have grateful people around you. I am so sorry for that. Maybe they should cook themselves. I don't know. Anyway, I hope that you're finding some things that you can do that bring some satisfaction. Now, today I want to talk to you about something that I think a lot of people are dealing with. It's the word transformation. I'm going to approach it perhaps a little bit differently than you might think. We'll see how far we get. And then I want to also give you a little reading. It's a transformational reading about wisdom out of the Restoration Bible. Restoration Bible is yours for the asking. You just email me at stevesocial@newlife.com and I will send you a giant study devotional Bible, a great tool. You get into it. It's got a little thing in the beginning that tells you how to use it. But first, somebody asked a question on Facebook, and they asked this, how do I deal with pride? That was one thing. And then, how do I handle stress better? And, really, both answers work together for both of the issues. If I have pride, I have just a little too much belief in what I can do, or if it's a prideful attitude, like a narcissist, like if I'm always telling people what I'm proud of in myself, it might be because I feel so bad about myself that I need to do a bunch of PR out there and talk about how great I am. But if I have too much, let's say, pride to ask somebody for help, too much pride to admit I need help, then that's a whole other issue. And if I am under stress, that was the other question about pride and stress, it could be because I'm trying to do so much on my own that it's just too much for me. And I really do need to get some help. I need a partner, I need some counseling, whatever it is. But both pride and stress go down when I start to talk about something really important, and that is reactive living. See, I think pride is a reaction to something. There's no reason to have pride other than fear or shame, something like that. If I'm so ashamed of myself that I have to raise myself up, or I have to put other people down, and that looks like it's prideful. Or, like a narcissist, you see all of this self-talk and how great I am and look at the great job I've done and all this. You think, man, this person must think they're just incredible. But they don't. There's such a wound from childhood and all of this that's just defective coping, and trying to just get by or survive. So in Take Your Life Back, you find a whole section on shame, reactive living, and then the goal, responsive living. And that's a major transformation. When I go from reacting to everything that you say to me to responding appropriately when you say something that's worthy of a response, I am now in control of my life and you are not. For instance, if let's say I am one of these guys that my wife and I have termed King Baby. So you're 50 years old and it's all about you, and you whine and you want somebody to take care of you, and it's like change your diaper and all this. King Baby. Okay, so if I'm one of those people and you live with me, then you're going to react and think you're horrible and that you're not enough, because King Baby's going to keep asking for more and is going to just drive you nuts. But when you see why you were attracted to King Baby, like you felt like you could love him into maturity or whatever, and you start to see some of this stuff, then now I don't react anymore. I'm starting to see reality and see my neediness in the beginning. And now I'm starting to grow and I'm getting in my recovery program. Now I'm starting to respond to the real need, not react to whatever the issue is that's brought up at any given moment. And when I respond to the real need, I can say things like, I don't think that's good for you, and I don't think it's good for me, and so I'm not going to do that. And I don't think it's good for you to do it either, and I'm not going to enable you to do it. So that's a great transformation out of stress because I'm not reacting, or out of pride, which is very stressful to maintain the image and all the stuff that's so fakey. Maintain that is stress. It is pride. Surrender is the thing that I need to transform into responsive living. Now look what Henry Cloud said about this book. This message can help millions. And Henry is just such a brilliant guy that the publisher put this in a microscopic dot that can hardly even be read. But anyway, I love Henry and I appreciate him endorsing this book. So transformation. Am I reacting? Am I triggered easily? What do I need to do to start responding where I'm in control of my life? Now, here's something a prideful person will do. They'll live with somebody who has an addiction, and they'll think that they can love them, control them, cure them, change them. And I just think you don't know the true power, or have never accepted just what a behemoth addiction is. It has a life of its own. It's a force to be reckoned with. It's horrible, is what it is. And no one person is powerful enough to overcome it. In the very beginning, when Bill Wilson, Dr. Bob, Bill W. and Dr. Bob were out there helping alcoholics in the very beginning, Dr. Bob would work with an alcoholic, and the first time he was ever with them, he'd take them into the upper room, get them on their knees, and get them to surrender to Jesus Christ. That's what he would do. And then the transformation would start to happen. But they'd have to surrender all of their effort and self-will and everything. And in that surrender to God, they were also surrendering to a process that other people had followed. And so that brings me to two different ways that we can transform. One is a surrender of everything we have. Spirit, mind, heart, all this. And the other is a surrender to just comply with what some other people are telling me are really good things. Now, let me talk to you about the transformation out of one thing and into the other. What is transformation? Well, transformation is simply profound change. It's one thing, if I want to lose some weight and I want to transform my body, I know how to do that. I can starve myself, or I can do it in a healthy way over time, so that, I can lose it for life. I never ask people to do anything they can't do for a lifetime. And so that's one form of transforming my body, is to change the way I eat. I can transform the way it looks with some strength training, start lifting weights and stuff. So that's transformation. But all that's physical. I can transform a house by, painting it or whatever. But I want to talk to you about spiritual transformation. Now just hold on here for a second. Spiritual transformation. It is so powerful and it is so important, because when I start to transform the spiritual part of my life, I am changing, and I'll show you the steps to get here, but I'm changing what's meaningful to me. I'm changing my view of what is meaningful. The unspiritual person, or the untransformed person, is really interested in control and being on top of everything. But the spiritual person, that's not really meaningful to them. Being in control isn't, because no one's in control. God's in control. The spiritual person says, I don't need to be in control of everything because God's in control. And God has my back. And I'm going to do what I can do in this hula hoop I live in, this circle right here. This is where I'm going to deal with it. And I'm going to let other people deal with that. And I'm going to change me, not them. I don't need to be in control. And I don't need to try to fix everybody, or I don't need to try to cure everything, because I'm spiritually minded. It's different. It's meaningful for me to connect with God rather than control the people that God created. Now, whatever it is that was meaningful before, whenever I start to transform spiritually, I start to ask myself, what would be really meaningful in my life? What do I need to do for my life to have meaning? I know of people that they've been very successful in business and they've helped a lot of ministries. And then they think, I need to get out of this business and go minister. And then they go minister and they go, wow, I'm not a very good minister. I need to go back in business, make money, because my purpose and my meaning is to help as many people as possible, and I can do that better, not by being a crummy minister, but by being a great money earner and then giving that money. So I want to discover my purpose based on a new understanding of what's meaningful in life. My focus is no longer the material present. Yeah, that's important, but it's not the most important thing. I go from being focused totally on that to, you could say, from a material present to the heavenly or the eternal perspective. That's really what means something to me. So I want to see as many people go to heaven as possible. And I want to do what I can to be kind, merciful, gentle to the people here on earth, so they get a little touch of heaven because of my link with God and my belief in God that I'm trying to live out here. So when I'm spiritually transformed, impulse isn't driving my life. I'm not succumbing to impulsive, short-term, reactionary decisions. Also, I'm not reacting to everything. I have some restraint within me, and I don't let everything trigger me. I don't let everything be a horrible thing. If you say something and you're trying to get a reaction out of me, I can see that, and I can restrain myself, and I can respond appropriately with wisdom rather than reacting emotionally or superficially. And also, when I'm spiritual and I'm focused on spiritual things, then emotional deprivation isn't driving me. How many people have gotten in relationships because they were desperate emotionally? They were desperate in every way possible. Spiritually, emotionally, they were desperate. So we don't want that. We want to be focused on heaven, using restraint. We want to do things that we think build and add to our purpose in life. And then when we do it, we want to reflect on it. And we want to see and evaluate, and we want to renew our commitment to the spiritual every single day. Now, that's what the spiritually transformed life is all about. And tomorrow, I'm going to talk to you about how do you transform spiritually. If I could give you a picture of the spiritually peaceful, focused, purposeful person, as opposed to the materially based, controlling, reactive, miserable person. If I could tell you, here's the bridge from there to here, would you be interested in that? That's what I'm going to give you tomorrow. And it's a bridge that we've been talking about for a long time, but I think you'll like it. Dave Stoop and I developed the steps up the bridge and down over the other side. But right now, I want to talk to you about transforming or transformational wisdom. And this is out of the Restoration Bible. Listen to this. This is on being, getting the rest and reflecting on your life and discovering some things that maybe you need, maybe you want, maybe you ask God for. So listen to this. Now, if any of you lacks wisdom, now this is the book of James here. James is writing this. And if you know anything about 12 steps in James, you know a lot of 12-step wisdom is here in the book of James. Now, if any of you lacks wisdom, he should ask God, who gives to all generously and ungrudgingly, and it will be given to you. Isn't that amazing? If you ask God for wisdom, he'll give it to you. It says he won't withhold it. He won't be grudgingly withholding. He'll generously and ungrudgingly give you that wisdom. Isn't that great? Okay, so listen to this. When trials come, and by the way, they will come. Notice James says when they come. Well, we're in the midst of a trial, and it's crummy. We don't like it. We often have scores of questions when we're in trials or crisis like we're in. Why is this happening to me? How can I get out of this mess? Where should I turn? Whom can I call for help? And what should I do first? How will I survive this? Any of those sound or feel familiar? If they are, here is James saying, this is normal. This is the human condition. He says this, no wonder in tough times some people become immobilized and others react without thinking. Remember talking about that reaction? Often making the situation even worse. James suggests a better way. Ask God for wisdom. Wisdom? Seriously? If I'm asking God for something, can't I just ask him to make my trials go away? Well, that desire, while understandable, is very unrealistic to expect all these trials to go away. God knows that growth without trials is impossible. Struggles are integral. They're part of the journey toward maturity. The good news, James explains, is that God is generous, not stingy, and when he's doling out this wisdom, he's glad to give us the insights that we need to navigate our trials sensibly and safely. But we have to ask, and we have to believe that he's going to answer. Isn't that fantastic? You ask him, you believe it. And then don't just sit around and waiting for him and plop it in your lap. It's right here. Instant message from God. His word. Oh my goodness. So much wisdom. So ask God for wisdom. Get the Restoration Bible by emailing me at stevesocial@newlife.com. Start to read it. And the wisdom is here. I mean, I can go back over to the book of James. And I can just, decide I'm going to have a little visit here with James. And so I go back to James, and I look down here, and look, here's a piece of wisdom. I just turned it. No one undergoing a trial should say, I'm being tempted by God, since God is not tempted by evil, and he himself doesn't tempt anyone. But each person is tempted when he's drawn away and enticed by his own evil desire. Then after the desire is conceived, it gives birth to sin. When sin is fully grown, it gives birth to death. Don't be deceived. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. By his own choice, he gave us birth by the word of truth, so that we would be kind of his first fruits of his creatures. Now look, we're not tempted because God tempts us. A little bit of wisdom to know that. We're tempted because we got stuff that's unresolved in us, and maybe it's not fully surrendered yet to God. But I'm just saying, that's an example. You turn, you open the Bible, you're going to find a chunk of wisdom and some new understanding. That's what I want for you. And that's what leads to transformation. Romans 12:2. Be transformed by changing the way that you think. That's what we want to see happen. But you have to surrender to it first. All right. So if you have a question, comment, like this, send it to a friend, whatever. I'm going to be here again tomorrow for the same thing. But I want to be sure you know about these resources because you're in close proximity to some folks that have some problems. So here's understanding and loving a person with sexual addiction. If you discover the person you love is acting out inappropriately, this will really help you deal with it. Here's understanding and loving a person post-traumatic stress. They've got all this trauma. They've never resolved it. It'll help you deal with them. Here's borderline personality disorder. When life is up and down, you never know what you're coming home to. But it's not usually very good. Bipolar, the extremes of emotion. How do we help this person and live with them so that we don't get sucked in? Attention deficit disorder. Here it is. And then understanding and loving a person with alcohol or drug addiction and narcissistic personality disorder. Great resources if you uncover, boy, the people I'm messing around with, well, they're really tough. All right, so you can get these resources at 1-800-NEW-LIFE or by going to newlife.com, and there are a lot of videos at newlife.com. You just click on, needed a little extra help during the crisis, and they'll help you there. I hope and pray you'll join me again tomorrow. We have a radio show every weekday. If you're on Sirius XM, it's 1 o'clock Eastern Time, channel 131. But you can hear it at that same time, which is 10 Pacific, on One Place, or you could go to our website, newlife.com, or the New Life app. It's all there, and Facebook. All right? Have a great evening. God bless you. Stay safe and stay sane. See you next time.